March as investors continue to monitor the slow pace of COVID-19 vaccination in the EU and its impact on Europe's economic recovery. Now, several EU member states have halted their rollout of the Oxford AstraZeneca jab in recent days, following reports of blood coagulation disorders in recipients. Meanwhile, the EU leaders reaffirmed their commitment to support the bloc's economy amid the COVID-19 crisis and agreed on the need to keep a budgetary stance in 2021 and in 2022, which will be supportive and which will pave the way for recovery. Now, finally, we look at the weather. We begin with our capital city. Lusaka will experience considerable cloudiness with thunderstorms in some spots. Temperature in the capital city currently stands at 25 degrees Celsius, but expected to climb to 26 in the afternoon and further drop to 20 degrees Celsius in the evening. Ndola will experience intervals of clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm around this afternoon. Temperature in Ndola currently stands at 26 degrees Celsius, but expected to climb to 27 in the afternoon and further drop to 19 degrees Celsius in the evening. In the East Chipata, we experience intervals of clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm. Temperature currently stands at 27 degrees Celsius, but expected to drop to 20 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, and of course further drop to 19 in the evening. Tourist capital Houston will be pleasant with sun and some clouds. Temperature currently stands at 29 degrees Celsius, but expected to climb to 31 degrees Celsius in the afternoon and drop to 20 in the evening. That's it for the news updates at 7. This is Millennium Kwacha. The question we are asking: what is a normal amount to pay a maid? Is there something like a normal amount, Connie?
I want to hear what people have to say before I give my 2 cents. If I answer that, I would have answered the question.
What's your view? How much would you pay a maid if they're working Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? Because that's not like full time, so it's very different. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know a friend whose maid only comes on weekends just to wash and clean the house, and she pays her 600 kwacha just for Saturday.
Here's the thing. Like I said, I don't want to answer the question, but since you've asked, here's the thing. One, it comes down to how much you get, how much the workload as well, and then how much you both agreed. You know, if I give you an example of, say, BBC and Millennium TV, right? They're TV presenters that literally do what I do. They'll go in the morning, do the breakfast show, maybe do news at at the times, like maybe 3 slots, and then go back home. That's all. But there's no way she's going to get the salary I get. You get it? Because of the company that she's working for.
Also the
so
as well.
Yes, it's also about the employer. If I'm making, say, 50,000 kwacha, I don't think it would even, like, I wouldn't even, it wouldn't make sense to me to give the maid, for example, say 500 kwacha. You get my point? Because now I'm just
being. What if the work they're doing is equivalent to the 500 kwacha, despite the amounts that I have?
But that's the thing. Because of the standard that my brain would have gotten to, because of the money I'm getting, like I'm saying, I wouldn't think 500 kwacha is sufficient. It's like how a person that gets 50,000 will walk into a store and buy a dress for 5,000 kwacha. You get my point? Because that's where the sort of mindset registers, as much as there are certain people that are stingy. I'm not going to take away from that again. There are certain people that are very stingy and will want to get the smallest amount out of everything, because you'll find there are people out there that literally make 100 and chakuti thousand, but you'll find them busy in Kontama boutique in Chitokon. You get my point? But it would come down to the employer as well. That's why I'm saying it comes down to the employer as well, the way I think. You get my point? The way that where my mind is. So, and then, so it depends on the employer, it depends on the workload. Like you said, that lady, your friend, and she gives her 600 kwacha for just Saturday and Sunday. There's somebody out there that will give a maid 600 kwacha, and for that works throughout Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that's the monthly salary. You get my point? Not just for a Saturday.
Awesome. Want to hear your views as well. What is the normal amount to pay? House of We're also streaming live on Facebook as well as YouTube. You can also call us on 0975-740518. We'll be so glad to hear what you have to say. We'll go on a break. When you get back, we look at what is happening in the papers.
seedling is packaged to perfection. Trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9.
Millennium TV. We mean business. Millennium TV. TV. Millennium TV. We mean business. Who are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business.
Mafingerings tikaleta kuti kule ifike pa 500 gram or 450 gram even pa 400 flat gram nshia kule mngapeleke pa market.
When we are at school, we learn a lot of things. Let's say, for example, for the diseases which are there in the poultry. So for someone like me who has gone to school, it's easy for me to know if at all there are any diseases in the poultry.
Still watching Millennium Culture, your first and only business breakfast show in the country with Paul and Constance. Not Constance and Paul, but Paul and Constance. We look at what's happening in the papers, but don't forget the question we're asking this morning is what is the normal amount to pay a maid or house help? They've now gotten different names. The house helps, the maids. What's the normal amount?
There's another one at home.
Homekeeper.
Home manager.
Home manager. So how much do you pay a home manager, someone that is managing your home? If they are a homekeeper, it's keeping your home. Or house help, helping you to keep that house in shape when you are busy also with work. What is the normal amount to pay a maid? Want to hear from you. Be so glad to hear even how much you pay your own maid if you have one. Drop us a comment on Facebook or YouTube. You can also call us on a 0975-7405 1818. Be so glad to hear your voice on this Thursday morning. But for now, let's check what's happening in the papers. We begin with the Daily Nation, our Daily Nation.
Okay, so Daily Nation, do get yourself a copy. Interesting stories. Right on the cover, we have fuel hike hurts. And then we also have stop promoting opposition agenda, church mother bodies towed. Magufuli is dead. We also have wise Archbishop Emeritus Telesfo Mpundu so agitated. I am so sure I did not say that name correctly. In the sports section of the Daily Nation, we have Nkana and Dan as Naps Sisters squander 2-0 lead to draw with Algerian side. Faz Atlas Mara donates charity shield cash, and Sundowns, Wydad and Esperance reach Champs League quarter-finals.
In the Daily Mail, Luwinda sues the Lusaka City Council, seeks order to compel council to confer alderman status on him and deal with cyber bullies firmly. Lungu. Church motherboard is exposed. Petauke woman nabbed, and MDC picks Mutati. My favorite part of the newspaper review is the inspirational note from the Daily Mail. You were placed on this earth to create, not to compete. So don't compete, just create. Robert Anthony. At the sports page of the Daily Mail, pensioners bottle it. JS come from 2-0 down to forced draw. Nkana's proud home record broken, and ZBF boss throws in punch again. Charity should raise a 30,000 kwacha. Hoods return home.
Alrighty, moving on to the Times of Zambia, we have G12 ruling stays. ECZ says all candidates should produce validated grade 12 certificates. We have 300 families in shock as maize fields are slashed. We also have our sign, cyber bill, says Lungu. Kalifungwa to challenge EL for PF presidency. We also have point taken in the sports section. Slack Napsa taught lesson in second half collapse. And Nkana wars deepen as loss leaves quarterfinal dream in tatters. Curb age cheating. Zim get boost ahead of Afghan qualifier and 30,000 raised from the charity shield. Let's dive into the story, starting off with the Daily Mail.
The Daily Mail, right on the front page. Very interesting story. Luwinda sues the Lusaka City Council, seeks order to compel council to confer alderman status on him. Now, Minister of Justice, Given Luwinda, has sued the Lusaka City Council seeking an order to compel the local authority to implement its 2016 resolution to bestow on him the status of alderman. An alderman is a member of a municipal assembly or council. When someone is conferred with an alderman status, he or she is entitled to receiving sitting allowances at a local authority, among other benefits. I think it's because of the benefits. So I'm trying to wonder, like, Honorable Minister, you still want those benefits, sitting allowance benefits, like what you're getting. Maybe there are other privileges that come with his status, but if it was the benefits alone. Now, in 2016, the council passed a resolution to confer the alderman status on Mr. Luwinda, who had served as councillor for 15 consecutive years in Kabwata constituency. But the Kabwata MP contends that the local authority's delay to implement its resolution to confer the status on him is illegal because it is not supported by any provisions of the Local Government Act, Chapter 281.
Sorry, I did not understand that. Is them delaying it illegal, or is them wanting to confer it the illegal part?
No, it's them delaying. They already passed a resolution in 2016, and they've delayed.
So delaying it is illegal?
Yes, delaying is illegal. They've already passed. It's like I've already employed you, Constance. I've already signed the contract to begin on the 1st of March. Then I'm not asking you to come. I'm not paying you. Meanwhile, we've already signed, so that is illegal. Maybe you even resigned where you were. So that's... They already passed the resolution, so implementation is what has delayed from 2016. We want to hear from the councils.
I know, right? I can no longer make a comment. My comment was going to be based on, I didn't know that they had made that resolution.
Yeah, they made the resolution.
So my comment was going to be based on if I had to go to a university and sue them to give me a degree because I was at the university or whatever, and then they give me a degree, would that be an earned degree? You know, is where I was going to start my point. But the fact that they had already made the resolution and then now comes in the illegalities, I think would need experts really.
Baby stolen at Nakadoli Market. I read this story and I was like, no. A woman of Lufanyama has been left traumatized after a 5-week-old baby was allegedly stolen by a stranger at Nakadoli Market in Kitwe. Now, this happened on Monday around 12 hours when the mother, Precious Kapembwa, 18 years, left the baby girl with an unknown woman. This was a day after Miss Kapembwa had traveled from Lufanyama to Kitwe to sell groundnuts at Nakadoli Market A. Miss Kapembwa said in an interview yesterday that her child went missing after she went to the toilet. She said upon arrival at the toilet with her baby strapped on her back, she met this unknown woman who advised her to leave the child with her instead of entering the toilet with the child. I left the child under the woman's custody, but when I came out, I noticed that she had disappeared with my child. She tried to search for her child around the market, but could not find the baby, prompting her to report the matter to the police. Different angles. Eyewitnesses also saying something very different. I know also in the Times of Zambia, there's a different angle which the story has been reported.
Yeah, because in here it says, Ms. Trishi explained that Precious Kapemba, 18, a marketer who went to the market to sell her farm produce, was approached by another woman who introduced herself also as a marketer. And it says that the suspect had a long chat with Mrs. Kapemba before, Miss Kapemba, before she asked her to leave the baby so that she could go and check the current price of tomatoes.
So it's not about the toilet in the Times of Zambia? In
the Times of Zambia, it's not about the toilet. It's Miss Precious going to check the price of tomatoes.
Then when she came back?
Then when she came back to her store, the baby and the mother.
So either way, you went to the toilet or you went to search for price for tomatoes, you left the child with someone. When she came back, the person that was in custody of the child was disappearing together with the child. Something which is very common, so to say, in the papers is child stealing.
Yes, this child stealing story has actually become very, very common. We're hearing children being stolen from hospitals. So apparently it even happened in Kitwe Central Hospital. It happened in the other hospital we're talking about the last time. And then we've also heard, and if you've seen, it's been a what can I call it? Sort of development, because over the past few months, starting I think November, December, January, February, there were a lot of, even on Facebook, you'd see a lot of the boy is missing, he's 10, 8. So it's like they've just been coming down, you know. I think the first one that was reported, a child, when this surge, I'm going to call it a surge for lack of a better term, started, was about 14, and then it went to 12, and then it went to 10, and then there were a lot of 8-year-olds, 8. And I remember I noticed the fact that there were a lot of 8-year-olds because my daughter is 8, and I kept thinking, keep her in the room, not in the house, in her room, lock her up. Yeah, so 8, there was a lot of 8, 8, 8, 8, then 6, 7, 5, and then now there's a lot of babies going missing from hospitals, and I'm just wondering, what's going on? What's the surge about? Why are they getting kids and children and babies? Where are they taking them? What are they for? You know, has there been an increase in adoptions or something? Like, what's going on? You know, is it for ritual killings? Like, that is what I would want to investigate and find out. On the part of the mother, I'm thinking the baby is 5 weeks. Even you, as a mother, you're not okay, you know. So for you to get up from the home and well, at least I know I wasn't okay at 5 weeks. I don't know, maybe other mothers are like completely okay. I did not want to move anywhere at 5 when my daughter was a month, and she's 18, so which makes it a whole lot worse.
Maybe that's
that's the 5th or 6th child. No, that was probably the first. And then she gets up from wherever she stays and goes to sell her farm produce. Now, is there nobody else that can go sell the farm produce? Is there no one else to leave the baby with? You know, this is the problem this is the problem with being in abject poverty, in being with the economy being so bad, because it's taking people to do extremes. You know, even the people that are killing the people, it's because of poverty, and people love money and people want money, you know, so everything is just making people do the extremes. in a lot of now, actually, from what I know, I don't know if it has been tradition from way back out, but then you're not even allowed to see a baby at a month right now. Like the nurses themselves would tell you, like, after 3 months. Like, now it's actually being told, like, wait for about 3 months, not only because of COVID, but because of the so many diseases that are going around and so on and so forth. You know, and the problem with us Zambians is when you go to see the baby, especially if you've gone with a gift, you want to hold the baby, you want to kiss the baby, you want to, you know, which is something I feel like it needs to be talked about and people need to stop that.
Yeah. The angle I would also take for me is the families, the extended family. I know there's a breakdown in the family now. Just in the news the other day, we saw UTH public relations officer lamenting that there are a number of male patients that have been abandoned. Others will even die. And there's no relative whatsoever. So you take a relative to the hospital and you leave the relative there and abandon him. Just leave him there like that. So the cases keep increasing. If this 18-year-old girl, mother now, had people in the family that could take care of the child, she can now, they can even help her to do whatever she was.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there should have been somebody that could have, was there nobody to go to the market to sell that produce? You know, it has Mwaiche, Sanafi, and you know, to get to that point where she has to get up, she has to be the. Where's the other thing is where's the father of the child? You know,
the father of the child appears later on in the story,
which is also another thing. Where like there's a whole lot of craziness in this story and a lot of craziness going on in the world, because I know for a fact that, you know, the father of my child would have never let me go anywhere with my daughter at a month. No, you know, even just when it was, you know, there are those jobs that they give. He had to be there, but then I was privileged, so let me not even, you know, there are lots of cases though where fathers are not present, and everybody needs to do better. We all need to do better, to be together as families, to, you know, to support each other. We used to be, you know, like, I think this is our generation, us going up, is the last people who can say, I grew up in a house where I had my cousins, or where we even call some of our cousins brothers and sisters, because you grew up with them. Some of us were finding out some of our cousins are actually our cousins when you reach university, and then you're like, wait, she's not the firstborn? I thought, you know, because we were so close-knitted and everything, and our family and our parents would actually get cousins and would live with them and so on and so forth. These days, it's mother, father, the child, it ends there. And I do understand because of the economy, yes, and things have gotten crazy and expensive, but I feel like we need to do better, even if you're not living with them, you know, make sure your children know their cousins, know have family visits, and so on and so forth. You know, get to a place where you don't have to have your child all alone in this world. You know, for me, even if I used to live alone in my house, I know I could always call, I don't know, a sister. I can call a cousin and say, I need to go to the market, I need to make food can you watch the baby for, or can I give you sell for me, I keep, you know, I stay with your child, or I stay with the child or something, you know. So it's ish.
Something must be done. Moving on in the stories, Magufuli is dead. Now, Tanzanian President John Magufuli, who drew widespread criticism for his denial of the coronavirus pandemic, has died only 5 months after he won a second term in a disputed election. He was 61 years old. He died yesterday from heart complications at a hospital in Dar es Salaam. Vice President Sammy Suluhu said in an address on state television, "We have lost our courageous leader, President John Magufuli, who has died from a heart illness," she said on state television yesterday. She announced 14 days of national mourning. Magufuli has not been seen in public for more than 2 weeks, and rumors have been circulating about his health. He was nicknamed the bulldozer for his aggressive leadership style. Magufuli won early praise for tackling corruption, reducing wasteful government spending, and improving the lives of peasant farmers by waiving dozens of taxes. Very, very sad state of affair. Losing a son of the soil is something that Africa is indeed mourning today. Sad. When I learned about this news this morning.
I learned about it last night for I think if I remember correctly, I think it was posted in a group last night.
So sad.
It is very sad. We were talking about it yesterday, and we said we hope everything's going to be okay. Sadly, nothing is actually okay. Yeah, it's I can't make a comment when people are mourning as much as I want to make a lot of comments.
Yeah, just that, yes, he was denying the issue of COVID, and of course, the reports from the Tanzanian government have not attributed his death to COVID. They've insisted that it is heart failure. So it remains heart failure.
Yeah,
unless
it remains heart failure.
You have information.
Otherwise. We need to close up, but before we go, like real quick, I just want to know what you think about this. 300 families in shock as maize fields are slashed. So the story basically is these families in Ndola wake up and find their fields of maize. They are huge fields of maize. 300 families. So trust when I say it's a huge field. All slashed. The maize is slashed by unknown persons, but apparently there have been people that have been claiming they're the ones that are supposed to be on that land, or they have bought that land. But then these people were also told that they were even given paperwork as well, that they would actually be given that land. So there's been that dispute because both of them are saying no. This one is saying I'm the owner. This one is saying we're supposed to be the owners. Yeah. So now the complaint here is even if the other person is rightfully the owner, they could have been human enough to wait until they harvest, because the maize was look like, you see, it's almost ready. You know, it's not maize to no. You get my point? It's like it's almost ready. Why not just wait for the families to harvest it and like slashing it?
When land is under dispute, don't invest on that land. For me, that has been my stance. When even the law, they'll put a caveat on land that is under dispute, because you might lose your investments on that land. When you know that there's a dispute on that land, don't put your money there until the matter is sorted, because you'll cry. Yes, people should be human enough, but we don't know also the kind of money they've spent, whether they bought the land as well. So even them also need to look at their side of story. In as much as, yes, slashing the maize is not a solution. Maybe wafitala. There are people that have wafitala fee. Never me, but never not to my documents. Never telephone kulima. So really, both sides, when land is under dispute, don't invest on it.
No, but you know, I kind of feel like, as much as I don't know when the dispute started, I'm going to lie, but I kind of feel like, you know, if you were going to do something about it, and if it started before the maize was planted, then when they just saw that the maize was planted, why didn't they tell them at Twala Fumie? They waited all the way until the maize is taller than a normal person, and then they go and slash. You get my point? That is like, you literally, if that is the case where they actually waited and whatever, now you're just being, you know, inhumane. You get my point? If they saw them tilling and whatever, and then they tell them, if you do this, you're going. Another thing is, these people are saying that is their only source of income. You get my point? So there is actually a woman who collapsed when she found this, because that is literally her only.
But the land is in dispute, really. In as much as that is the only source of income, that is not a justification. We need to close, yeah? We have so much to talk about on the breakfast show this morning. We have Chirofia Mulopa, who will be joining us after the news update at 8. We also have Grace Chunduma, who will be talking about helping children back to school, and also our projects that she's running. But for now, we're going to break. When we get back, we discuss the trending topic for today. How much should a maid get paid? Drop us your comments. I want to hear from you. Back shortly.
It is packaged to perfection, trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9.
You are still watching Millennium Culture, your first and your favorite business breakfast show. Thank you so much for tuning in to Millennium TV. Now, today the topic that we're talking about is the issue of maids. How much do you think a maid should be paid? Is there a standard price? What do you think? What's your opinion? The number that you're calling is 0975-740518. We're also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can use those platforms to get interactive with us. Drop a comment. Tell us where you are watching us from, and tell us what you think is the best price to pay a maid, and that is what we're gonna be discussing. So,
let me read a few comments from somewhere. Now, the legally binding pay by labor laws, according to the minimum wage and conditions of service, is around 1,000 kwacha. An individual hiring the maid can even better the pay if he or she so wishes. Others say, for me, above minimum wage, it depends on their performance. I get blown away easily to start with minimum wage. Then, within a month or two, they get a raise. Someone said, I work as a maid and I get $250 as a salary. Where should I report my boss? For me, the issue is always, no matter how rich I am, if you are repairing my watch, I'll pay you according to the work you've put in. It doesn't. Your pay is not dependent on the amount I have. It's dependent on the work you're putting in.
No, but then here's the thing. The work that you are going to value the work that the person has put in differently from the way I would value it if my salary is lower. Here's why I'm saying this. If you think that the maid has come to work and has done an exemplary job, you get my point, and you are impressed, you would probably give them, say, the 1,000, right? I get 3,000 kwacha. It doesn't make sense. Even if I think the job is exemplary, I can't give them 1,000 kwacha.
You don't even need a maid in the first place. If you get 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, you don't even need a maid. Get someone, maybe get her sister, because that is someone's, that's a human being. That's workforce you are engaging in, okay? So
no, but I was giving an example, really. Yeah, but that's my point, though. You get my point?
I understand. That's why I keep saying that it's not dependent on how much you're getting, because if I'm getting 3,000 and I employ a driver.
Okay, fine. Let's do this. You get 50,000 kwacha. You employ a maid and they do an exemplary job in a 3-bedroom house. How much are you going to give them?
What is the minimum wage? So the minimum wage, for example, if it's 1,000, I'm obligated according to the law to give them 1,000. If I want to top up, now that is up.
That's what I'm telling you. That's all. That's what I'm saying.
So now,
your heart.
My heart.
You get my point.
The standard is what? 1,000. Now,
yes.
Now,
the standard.
Getting back to your point is, if you get, say for example, you get 2,500 kwacha, according to the law, you're expected to pay the person around 1,000, irregardless of how much.
That's what I'm saying. I was giving an example. So let's say I get 10,000. You get 50,000. Yeah. You get my point? So because of your heart, right, and you think, okay, let me top up, right? You are capable of topping up to, say, 3,000. You get my point? Me, if I get 10 pin, I might not be that capable because there's school fees, there's rentals. I won't be that capable.
Yeah, but
you get. The minimum I have covered.
So irregardless, for me, what I've seen a lot of exploitation when it comes to this area of meds. A lot of people are exploiting these people just because it's like they need a job. You ask someone to work 1 to 31st or 30th every day to doing everything, and you give them 500 kwacha.
But wait, how does I've always wanted to know how minimum wage works, because even when you go to a company and I work for the 3 days out of 3 or say 15 days out of a month, does the minimum wage still apply to me?
Yes, it applies. The minimum wage for even a casual worker, they're not even encouraging according to the law now. Okay. Minimum,
okay. Yeah. I go to. I'm thinking of a. Okay, I come to Millennium. I don't work at Millennium TV. I come to Millennium TV and I read the news once. Minimum wage still applies to me.
So now, according to the law of contracts, there are different.
That's why I'm saying, you know, like with minimum wage, you have to, and that's why I said you have to sit down with the maid and you know, have a certain agreement, because if the maid is coming on Saturdays and Sundays, Really? Minimum wage still applies?
So now,
and just coming to wash?
What you need to understand is that according to the law, are there employees that you've employed on a full-time basis? If they're not employees, it's just a particular assignment. It's just like an assignment. Okay, Paul, come and you know the law, just maybe I'm a consultant, okay? It's just that particular task. So for this particular task, I'll be giving you 500 kwacha. That does not apply, okay? So if you are engaging a maid, if you're engaging a maid for a particular one task, maybe on a Saturday, forget about the minimum wage. Agree on that range.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
But for those that
if, as much as it can be registered under employment, if you sit down with the person and you agree, okay, no, you just be coming on Monday, or you just be coming on 3 days in a week, and you just be doing this, this, and this. I don't know. Maybe I need to read up on the minimum wage more and get it better. But I don't think that is where I feel like minimum wage comes down to that. Is that person a full-time employee?
So maybe
you know,
for focus, those that are employed on a full-time basis, how much should they get paid? Because the arrangements are different. So if we look at exceptions, we may not drive the point home. But for those that are engaged on a full-time basis, you work as a helper at my house Monday to Monday. Others are even living in maid. How much should they get paid? Okay,
so with that one day, it's kind of automatic that yes, it should be the minimum wage, and then depending on you, your heart, how you see yourself, your capabilities and whatever, you add up what you can, you know. But it shouldn't go below the minimum wage.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, but you can't, I still feel like there is no way we can sit down here and say, no, a maid should always get 5p.
A maid should always, if it's a full-time, a maid should not get anything less
below than the minimum wage.
Yeah. This one says, truth be told, if everyone followed the minimum wage, then a lot of people won't be employed.
But I agree with that.
A common Zambian can't even afford to pay someone the so-called minimum wage, because most people get paid masese.
I totally agree with that, and I feel like it's not even just maids, you know.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that are working that don't get that do not get the minimum wage, you know. Yeah. Even I'm going to talk in the media because I've been in the media. Yeah. I know so many established, you listen to them, you hear them, you watch them, and they do not pay their workers the minimum wage.
That is against the law, and the person can even report them to the labor office. We need to break. We have so much to talk about on the breakfast show this morning. We have the news updates coming up shortly in a few seconds. After that, we'll be joined by Chirofia Molopa, who will be talking to us the linkage between education and entrepreneurship after this.
Mafingerings tikaleta kuti kule ifike pa 500 gram or 450 gram even pa 400 flat gram mshia kule mngapeleke pa market.
When we are at school, we learn a lot of things. Let's say, for example, for the diseases which are there in the poultry. So for someone like me who has gone to school, it's easy for me to know if at all there are any diseases in the poultry.
You gotta hustle. You can't be at the same location and with the same behavior. When you want to change the behavior, you at least change the location.
One, you need to be determined. You need to be disciplined and focused.
The business is something that you are able, at the end of the day, it's giving you something, profit. What do? Saturday we have a game. I don't have eggs, right? At home. We go there, we win. They'll give me maybe a 50 or 100 kwacha. Then I'll benefit out of that.
only on Millennium TV. We mean business. Millennium TV. TV. Millennium TV. We mean business. Millennium TV. Millennium TV. We mean business.
You are still watching Millennium Culture, your first and your favorite business breakfast show. It is Constance and Paul. It even sounds better, doesn't it? Kind of rolls off your tongue. Okay, let's go straight into the news updates. Now, Chikankata DC warns illegal miners. President Lungu gives bicycles to chiefs. And in international news, Tanzania's President John Pombe Magufuli is dead. For the details, Chikankata District Commissioner Peter Mwinda has warned people conducting illegal mining of different minerals in the area to stop the illicit act with immediate effect. Mr. Mwinda said anyone who will be found mining illegally will be arrested by the Zambian police and persecuted in the courts of law. He sounded the warning during the Mwenda Rural Development Trust and stakeholders meeting held at Chikankata Mission today. Mr. Mwenda says it is unfortunate that some people have been carrying out illegal mining of different minerals in some parts of Chikankata district. He said anyone who wants to do mining in the district should follow the rightful procedures in accordance with the Mineral Act of Zambia. He has further stressed that anyone who will not follow the timely warning, their freedom will be curtailed without compromise. Mr. Mwenda said he has been receiving disturbing reports that some people have been indiscriminately extracting various minerals without following the law. President Edgar Lungu has donated 500 bicycles to village headmen in Pulungu district. Delivering the bicycles, Presidential Affairs Minister Freedom Sikazwe said the president understands the challenges that traditional leaders go through when leading their people. Mr. Sikazwe, who is also a Pulungu Member of Parliament, said the distribution of bicycles follows the pledge made by the president when he met village headmen during his previous visit. He explained that all the headmen are expected to benefit from the empowerment and urged them to care for the bicycles. Mr. Skazo handed over bicycles to village headmen in Sub-Chief's area in Pulungu, and Sub-Chief Kopeka thanked President Edgar Lungu for assisting the headmen with bicycles. He said the bicycles will ease mobility and enable chiefdoms to hold developmental meetings on schedule. In international news, and a very sad development, in a televised address on Wednesday night, Tanzanian Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan said that Magufuli had died of heart complications. Hassan said that Magufuli was hospitalized on March 6th at the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, and this comes after weeks of speculation on his whereabouts, with the suspicion that he had been hospitalized for COVID-19. Tanzania's President John Magufuli has not been seen in public for 18 days, and rumors have spread that he was ill. The speculation had led to several arrests as the government sought to contain the rumor. On Tuesday, the opposition leader from the Alliance for Change and Transparency ACT, Wazalando, issued a statement demanding Magufuli's whereabouts. The party also called for the release of all citizens who have been arrested for circulating rumors about the president's health. There has been speculation and rumors flying on social media that the 61-year-old president may have contracted the coronavirus and had been airlifted to a Kenyan hospital for treatment, then flown to India a day later. Tanzania's main opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, who is exiled in Belgium, said, citing sources, that Magufuli was gravely ill from COVID-19, exacerbated by underlying health conditions. On Tuesday, he posted photos on his Twitter account of activity in Dar es Salaam. At least 31 soldiers were killed in an attack in northern Mali this week, an army officer said on Wednesday, in one of the deadliest assaults on the military this year. Dozens of assailants on motorbikes and pickup trucks on Monday stormed a military post southwest of the town of Ansongo, near the borders with Burkina Faso and Niger, the army said on social media. An initial statement said 2 soldiers had been killed and 8 wounded, but late on Tuesday, the army gave the higher casualty figures, specifying 11 dead and 14 injured and 11 still missing. But on Wednesday, a Malian army officer who declined to be named said the death toll had further risen to 31. He added that the bodies of 13 assailants were found after the clash. It remains unclear how many soldiers are still missing. Mali was plunged into conflict in 2012 when local Tuareg radicals supported by jihadists revolted in the north. France intervened to crush the rebellion, but the jihadists scattered and regrouped, taking their campaign into central Mali in 2015 and then into neighboring Niger and Burkina Faso. That's it for international stories.
In the world of sports, this morning, Ghana have surrendered a 64-match unbeaten home record in the CAF competition since debuting 38 years ago after a 2-0 Confederation Cup loss to Raja Casablanca of Morocco on Wednesday. Star Sofiane Rahim converted a 47th-minute penalty for the visitors in Ndola, and substitute Noah Sadao added a second goal with 3 minutes of regular time remaining. Rahim picked up the most valuable player and leading scorer awards when Morocco won the African Nations Championship for home-based footballers in Cameroon last month. Ahead of the Group D match day 2 fixture, Ghana had won 45 home matches and drawn 19 in the Champions League African Cup Winners' Cup Confederation, and scoring 137 goals and conceding 18. It was a second long unbeaten CAF home record to fall this month when TP Mazembe of the Democratic Republic of Congo for the first time in 75 matches. Now, Ghana coach Kelvin Kaindu had slammed his defense after a 3-goal loss to the Pyramids in Egypt 7 days ago and was fearful of the damage star-studded Raja might inflict. His concerns proved valid as the Moroccans cast aside poor recent CAF form to win comfortably and share first place with the Pyramids, leaving Namungo of Tanzania and Ghana pointless. Ramadan Sobi and substitute Omar Geba scored in the second half as the Pyramids defeated Namungo 2-0 in Dar es Salaam. Pyramids, who lost to Renaissance Berkane of Morocco in the 2020 Confederation Cup final, are the only team with a perfect record in the African equivalent of the Europa League this season, having won 6 matches. That's it for sports news. We move straight to the money markets for this morning. Now, the money markets for today, the Zambian kwacha was trading at 21.97 against the US dollar, 30.55 against the British pound, 26.16 against the euro, and 1.47 against the South African rand. Now, the South African rand continued to trade below 14.6 level, hovering close to over 2-week high of 14.79 touched last week, as US Treasury yields continue to retreat, supporting risk settlement ahead of the Federal Reserve policy meeting. Domestic investors continue to digest the news that South Africa State Utility Eskom would extend scheduled power cuts until Wednesday as it suffered further breakdowns at 5 power stations during the weekend. Now, the British pound weakened below 1.39 level, having touched its lowest level since mid-February, after Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey said that the UK economy would contract by 4% in the first quarter from the same period last year and by 19% compared to the first 3 months of the year 2019, and warned about the negative impact of negative yields on company savings and investments. Now, the euro traded around 1.19, not far from the over 3-month low of 1.18 hit on the 9th of March, as investors continue to monitor the slow pace of COVID-19 vaccination in the EU and its impact on Europe's economic recovery. Several EU member states have halted their rollouts of the Oxford AstraZeneca jab in the recent days following reports of blood coagulation disorders in most recipients. Meanwhile, EU leaders reaffirmed their commitment to support the bloc's economy amid the COVID-19 crisis and agreed on the need to keep a budgetary stance in 2021 and 2022, which will be supportive and will pave the way for the recovery. Finally, the weather will begin with our capital city, Lusaka. Lusaka experienced considerable cloudiness with thunderstorms in some spots. Temperature in the capital city currently stands at 25 degrees Celsius, but expected to climb to 26 in the afternoon and further drop to 20 degrees Celsius in the evening. Ndola will experience intervals of clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm around this afternoon. Temperature currently stands at 26 degrees Celsius, but expected to climb to 27 in the afternoon and further drop to 19 degrees Celsius in the evening. In the east, Chipata, we experience intervals of clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm. Temperature currently stands at 27 degrees Celsius, but expected to drop to 28 degrees Celsius in the afternoon and further drop to 19 in the evening. Finally, our tourist capital, Livingstone, will be pleasant with sun and some clouds. Temperature in Livingstone currently stands at 29 degrees Celsius, but expected to climb to 31 degrees Celsius in the afternoon and further drop to 20 degrees in the evening. That's it for the news updates at 8. You're watching Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast. We're coming to you live from our Long Acre studios right here in the capital city, Lusaka. We're also streaming live both on Facebook as well as YouTube. We're asking what is the normal amount that you can pay a maid or a house help or a homekeeper or manager, as Constance added. Want to hear from you? Drop us a comment on Facebook. Want to read and hear your views. We'll go on a break. When we get back, we discuss the linkage between entrepreneurship and education. We have Chirufia Mlopa who will be joining us on set after this.
It is packaged to perfection, trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9.
Who are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business. Who are we? Millennium TV. TV. Millennium TV. We mean business. Millennium TV. Millennium TV. We mean business.
Still watching Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast. You're coming to you live from our Long Acre studios right here in the capital city, Lusaka. Now the question we're asking today is, what is the normal amount to pay a maid? We want to hear from you. We have different views. Constance brought in her own theories. It depends on how much you are getting. So, or umuntu alechitefia mashododo, for as long as you're getting a pin,
No.
give them something.
Really? Is that what you were hearing? How do you hear the weirdest things? Like you choose what to hear from what I have said, and you always just pick the wrong things. Always. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but want to hear from you really. What is the normal amount to pay a maid? This is someone that is working full time. We've seen complaints. Most of them are being exploited. Of course, the other angle that I wish we had time to talk about on the breakfast show this morning is the issue of the maid going out with the boss, with the man in the house. What causes that? I wish we had time to talk about that. But today on this particular segment, we discuss entrepreneurship and education, the linkage. We've heard people that are promoting entrepreneurship, demeaning education. Like, not everyone should go to school if you can be an entrepreneur. Why not? People are gifted in different ways. But now, we have a different view today. The guest has a different view on how connected these two are. So we've been joined by Chirufya Mulopa. Thank you so much, sir, for finding time to come through on Millennium Culture.
Thank you very much, and I'm grateful for the invite, and good morning, viewers.
Great. A brief about what you do before we even get straight into the discussion this morning.
Okay, so I'm basically a critical thinking trainer. So what I do, I help people actually think more critically in the aspect of how exactly you can use your own set of information that you actually find, and then use it in a way that allows you to be more creative, innovative, and just basically get solutions that are needed for any particular problem.
I would like to know how you achieve that, because that's you saying you can get me to start thinking a different way.
Yes.
So how does that work?
I like that question. So I'll ask you guys to help me with one question I'll ask. Now, imagine to some extent that you were given an opportunity to create a creature that never existed in the world before. Mm-hmm. What would that creature be, or what features would that creature have? If you think about it very quickly.
Very quickly, I'll probably get all my favorite creatures and put them in one. Horse,
and which ones
rabbit,
I would want a snake.
unicorn.
Something like a snake, but walks with legs.
Amazing, I like that. Well, for me...
I'd like a horse that flies, that actually flies.
Yeah.
That actually has a no, I'm just going
this
to fairy tales.
This man is making us think critically.
Yeah, you see that, right? So you're thinking about what sort of creature you would like to create. I'm thinking maybe maybe like an elephant that swims like a fish, right? Runs like a cheetah or something like that. You know, with some features of maybe an eagle or something like that.
You see, that's what I'm saying. Like, you get your favorite wolf, horse, rabbit, cat. Like, I would literally just mix it.
But with everything we've discussed, there's nothing new we've mentioned. So the truth of what the Bible actually says, there is nothing new under the sun. So that should comfort you as a person, that all you need to do is just draw from many sources. Okay. When you draw from many sources, it makes it easier for you to get to maybe a solution you need. People have thought of so many solutions around us. Now it is the decision of you choosing what exactly will be the best solution for that particular problem. And that's the quest that I do. I help you find tools in which you can develop that particular skill and get the right information for any sort of problem that you might encounter to some extent.
Ah, okay.
Lovely, lovely. That discussion for this morning, I'm very, very interested in it, very, very much, because we've hosted various people here promoting education. Just last week
and promoting entrepreneurship.
Yeah, on Women's Day, we had someone, Naomi, talking about the power of education, what education can do to you. The other time, we're talking about Dumisani, the right entrepreneur, about entrepreneurship, and others, of course.
Yeah.
Each one with a different view. First of all, help us understand the distinction of these two and how they marry each other.
Okay. So firstly, I think I'll start with entrepreneurship. I think with entrepreneurship, in my own words, I would basically say it's an individual perhaps, or individual, a group, or whatever you might call it, setting up a business, assessing the risk, and then later on, in order for them to enjoy the benefit at the end of the day. That's as simple as I can place it. Then when it comes to education, education is basically the process in which an individual is able to actively learn in order to improve their communication, their understanding, and also how they themselves see the ability to interpret certain things. because by interpretation, I mean how the person thinks. So when it comes to education, it's basically sharpening your thinking skills and understanding as an individual. So as a distinction, those are how those two are separated. But as a link, you find that as an entrepreneur, you need to understand certain fields in order for you to succeed in that particular area. Earlier, if you remember, I mentioned something about drawing from many sources. It's important that people or an entrepreneur is able to understand what is already happening. Now, I'll give you an example. You guys, you remember Zona? Zona was like the first ever mobile money services, right?
Yeah.
They were using different networks, right? But guess what these other companies, like the telecom companies, were doing? They were watching. They were watching. It's like, okay, so that's how they're doing it. Wait a minute. They're using our platform. What if our platforms actually had that particular service? It means the individual's account is their SIM card. Right? It means it's their SIM card. So in developing such a process, they realized from what they studied and researched concerning how Zona is using it, they implemented it and had it infused in what they were doing. So the aspect that it involves there is being able to see how someone is doing it, right? And understanding the dynamics of how it actually works, and it requires research. And you need to find the right information in order for it to work for you. So in the long run, you find that to some extent, the business is almost died off because of that particular aspect, right? So now, an individual or an entrepreneur needs education in order to improve. Improvement is what really takes you to the next level, only if you have the right knowledge and information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time when we hear education, I think most of us are thinking, grade 1 to grade 7, grade 7 to grade 12, grade 12, and then tertiary education. But from what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's about really just learning around you, not really basically. So my question maybe is, are you talking about the fact that you need the grade 1 to thingy, or it's just, I can just learn from my outside world and not really have to do that grade 1 to 7, 7 to 12 education?
I would say yes and no. Yes, in the aspect that numerical skills and these other aspects that you find in grade school are extremely important. Those are the basis of your foundation as an individual. But to some extent, that should not be the main place where you're only getting education, because there's so many things around us that are able to help us understand or learn how to do things. That is what you call vicarious learning. But to some extent, what is really important is the individual themselves need to understand that accumulating years in school does not mean that you will be able to provide solutions very quickly. Because imagine, we're talking about entrepreneurship and education. You can, let's say, go in a particular field, you're doing this degree. After you are done, it does not mean that you're going to find the job immediately. And this is why we have seen so many youths that are unemployed. Why? Because they have gotten so educated and so good in something which is not even relevant in their community. You see that, right? So now, to some extent, it's important as individuals, we should understand that we need to almost like adapt ourselves in a way in which we are able to see what we can offer to society. The example I actually gave is an indication of someone who has learned something at a fast rate or at speed compared to someone who has been doing it for a while. So the faster we actually learn, the faster we're able to provide the right services for our customers if you're an entrepreneur, and the right products that are needed in society. So when we're targeting education, we should understand what area we want to go into, or else you find that people are more inclined to just getting a certificate and not being able to be more effective out there. It's almost, I'll give this statement. It's basically with what we go through when it comes to education in grade school or even university, you find that we're more or less taught what to think and not how to think.
Okay.
With how to think, immediately you're done with school, you already know that I need to find something which I should do and generate some income, right? But if you're taught how to think, it's like after you're done, get an education, and then after you get a degree, go find a job. What happens if you don't find the job, right? So the joint between education and entrepreneurship is what allows us to be more creative, innovative, being that particular person who is able to bring out solutions in different places.
How can we change that, though? And I hope I don't derail, but how can we change that aspect that you have just brought up, the way that we are taught what to think and not how to think?
That particular aspect has to do with adjusting the school curriculum, but that is a very dangerous topic, and I'm sure a number of teachers would even look at me as like, are you sure that's what you want to do? You know, it costs a lot of money, and looking at our economy, it's really something that's a bit of a challenge. So coming up with small training programs that perhaps can be included in schools. We have people who've come up with different initiatives like Mara, who is the founder of Jacaranda Hub. She, I've had a lot of discussions concerning such ideas of how exactly you can include these training systems in them. You basically have to come up with something within schools that allows kids to actually see the value of entrepreneurship. One thing we should know is that in schools, entrepreneurship is actually taught. It is not just properly directed on how the person should think. Because I'm sure, were you doing commerce in school? Commerce? Did you do commerce?
I just did accounts.
Yeah, with accounts, you see that, right? A business has got accounts.
Yes.
You need to know your financials and all those things. So it's letting them know the purpose of why they're doing that finance.
Okay.
When they know it, it's easy to connect what exactly they need to do at the end of the day, right? So now, remember we said an entrepreneur is someone who, one, sets up a business, assesses the risk when it comes to financial risk, and then gains the benefit at the end of the day. So now, in doing so, such courses are really important, and then being able to join them together, it makes it easier for the person to see the value of how it can actually work, right? And as a person who trains people in critical thinking, you find that you show them how they are able to gain value from the information around them. This is actually done in university, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but they never mention about it that it's actually critical thinking. You are given an assignment, right? And in that particular assignment, they ask you to have how many references? If you remember one of your assignments, how many references was
It
there?
would be like five and
five, right?
5 and above, yeah.
Now, let me explain that. What they're actually asking is for you to find out what others have thought about that particular subject from different standpoints. And then from everything else, pick out something which you can state as your own type of thought. Right?
Okay.
What do you think with what everyone has actually stated? And give us an answer concerning your own view of how this should be. And it's the same principle we should use as entrepreneurs, right? With all the other entrepreneurs that in a particular field. Okay? What can I learn from all of these? And come up with a solution of a business or an idea that will be generated, and in the long run, this is where now you find an individual being able to succeed. So it's the same principle, but it's not properly explained. They just tell you, you need this number of references and whatnot. It's being able to collect different thoughts in order to make one solution which gives an answer of what you think.
Nice.
Lovely. I would be very, very interested to know, you have a bachelor's in special education.
Yeah.
And what you're doing now, you're doing marketing for African Surge Limited. Different.
Two very different paths.
Is that part of critical thinking?
Yeah, I understand. You might look at it as something very different. You know, like I was talking about drawing from many sources. It's what led me to actually do that is what I have been able to source out there. You know, with the adjustment of what's actually happening this current period, you find you need to be more agile and adaptive, right? If you do not adapt and you only focused on this particular thing, it's really hard for you to, you know, to move in any other direction to some extent. So with marketing, it's more or less like digital marketing. So that's like something I offer to a number of my clients. And part of it, you've seen how we're in the situation of this COVID-19. Not too long ago, like yesterday, we're able to, with my team, to air, or should I say stream, a huge meeting across the country in all 10 provinces, and everyone was participating. And this was a great achievement on our end. It was something that truly helped us out. Now imagine if I only just say that I'm just stuck at teaching people critical thinking. I think me being more dynamic would not allow me to do so. So I think these two, as much as they may seem too far apart, I think there's an element of critical thinking when it comes to marketing, because you have to think of what people would actually like as an influence or as a product that they want in that particular space or community.
Awesome. Okay, we're closing up. We're in the dying minutes, but I want to find out now when you say the linkage of education and entrepreneurship. I feel like you said, a lot of us have not, even when it comes to school, the example that you gave, where we don't understand what the reference or what, because I think with references, a lot of us just actually think they just want to know that I read through some book. So you actually find students who write a whole of the assignment, and then now just start looking for something to put in all the thing. So now, when it comes to linking the two, what do you think can be done for people to actually understand that the two are interlinked, and how can we change the status quo so that from here on out, you know, even as we're coming up, as we're becoming parents and all of that, even we are raising children in that aspect where they know that this is the linkage between the two?
Okay, that's a very big question.
Yeah.
So I think at a standpoint where I can start from is, one, when it comes to parents perhaps training their kids, what's really important is for them to pay attention to what the kids are actually interested in, right? I remember I had a friend who mentioned something to me. They were taking photos at home, and the daughter was basically there. They wanted to take photos. But the photos were really dark, right? And the daughter was like, okay, it's kind of dark. Okay, let me just grab the light that we actually have. Then we can actually use it. So they're trying to place the light nicely, and it was kind of difficult for them to do so. Then she decided to say, okay, you take the photo. I'll just hold it. At least I want it to look nice and whatnot. And I was surprised. It's like, but you don't want to be in the photo. And she said, no, don't worry. I just want to help you in that direction. Mm-hmm. What am I saying about that story? That kid is basically a manager. She's providing solution. It indicates that for her, what brings her satisfaction is her holding the light. Being in the photo is none of her business. She doesn't want that. All she wants is that the solution has been found. So being able to observe what your kids are actually doing will help you direct them in the right area where they're supposed to go. Mm-hmm. So in there, if you look, you see that she's more of a person who manages or helps get the solutions. Help her with management classes. Help her in how she can understand people much better to become a better manager. So now imagine if it starts that early, that person will be the best when it comes to managing people. Now, on the aspect of an individual just being able to get the right solutions for themselves, joining the two, it's important that they do not look at ordinary things as ordinary, but take an extraordinary view of those things. I'll give you this example. If, for instance, you were looking for a particular topic that you need to discuss, let's say a subject or a topic, you can gain it from any particular area or place, right? Mm-hmm. Or an example. I'll give you this example. I heard this story from someone, you know. They had visited a place in the mountains where it's actually snowing and whatnot, somewhere in Spain, and at the southern end of Spain, right? And there were, in that particular mountainous area, there were monkeys, right? Mm. There were actually monkeys, and these monkeys would actually have their tails frozen from the ice, right? It was so cold. And in the end, their tails actually started falling off, right? Mm-hmm. It was that bad. So after a while, these monkeys, when they were producing their young, their young, to some extent, started not having tails, right? Mm. Because of the adaptation in that particular area. So what that tells you, or example you can draw from that, and that was just an experience. For them, what they saw was that you as an individual, there are certain things which you need to just freeze out and fall off. Later on, when you realize that is something that you actually do, it no longer bothers you. People may say so many things about you, but just like the frozen tail, let it fall off.
Awesome.
You see
that's a great way of ending this.
I know, it's a mic drop moment.
Yeah, it's like, don't mind what people, just like that.
Yeah. Let it just fall off.
Awesome, Chilufa. Thank you so much for coming through, Millennium Kwacha. It was a pleasure having you.
Definitely. I
Awesome.
enjoyed myself this morning.
Awesome.
I hope we can have you again.
Definitely.
Maybe train more on critical thinking.
Definitely.
Because when I heard the story of the girls thinking, oh, she's a photographer. And then he says manager.
Yeah. I think we need critical. She needs critical thinking. Well, you're still watching Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast. You're coming to you live from our Longacre studios right here in the capital city, Lusaka. We're discussing entrepreneurship and the linkage it has with education with Chilufya Molopa. When we get back after this short break, we discuss education empowerment for the vulnerable with Grace Chundama, who is already on set. Keep sending your messages. Let us know where you're watching us from. We'll be back shortly.
Yeah, you gotta hustle. You can't be at the same location and with the same behavior. When you want to change the behavior, you at least change the location.
One, you need to be determined. You need to be disciplined and focused.
The business is something that you are able, at the end of the day, it's giving you something, profit. What do I do? Saturday we have a game. I don't have eggs, right? At home. We go there, we win. They'll give me maybe a 50 or 100 kwacha. Then I'll benefit out of that.
Only on Millennium TV. We miss. Who are we? What are we about? Say you want to learn about business or get latest news updates in business news, social and economic issues, stock exchange, latest exchange rates, and all financial matters, or you want to learn on how to manage your money from savings, banking, insurance, to maybe our new traditional way of doing things like village banking. And if you're like me, planning and constantly making sound financial decisions is essential. So I need to keep abreast with upcoming investments, taxes, technology, or entrepreneurship prospects. Interesting, right? So what if I told you by just one click you can learn from mining, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing services, and yes, entertainment industries. After all, the more you know about money, the better financially you will be. So who are we? What are we about? Millennium TV, your first business and financial news television channel. Catch us on Top Star, Channel 95, or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Millennium TV, we mean business.
Mafingerings tikaleta kuti kule ifike pa 500 gram or 450 gram even pa 400 flat gram mshia kule mngapeleke pa market.
When we are at school, we learn a lot of things. Let's say, for example, for the diseases which are there in the poultry. So for someone like me who has gone to school, it's easy for me to know if at all there are any diseases in the poultry.
Still watching Millennium Kwacha, your first and only business breakfast show. Thank you so much for always finding time to tune into your favorite breakfast show. We bring you nothing but the best of breakfast TV right here on set every Monday to Saturday, 7 to 9. Now, the question we're asking this morning, and we really want to hear from you, is what is the normal amount to pay a maid? How much did you pay your own maid? Drop us a comment on Facebook or YouTube. You can also call us on 0975-740518. On this particular segment of the breakfast show, we've been joined by Grace Chundama, who is doing amazing works in the area of helping vulnerable children. She is running a number of projects away from her professional life. Welcome to Millennium Kwacha.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for having me.
Great, looking awesome this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah. Run us through what you are doing. You're doing amazing works. I was looking at the pictures of the building that you're putting up in Chongo. I was like, how old is Grace? Like, she has millions and millions. You should just share with me. But amazing works you're doing. Share with us and the viewers exactly what you're working on.
Okay. So thank you once again for having me. What I'm doing in Chongwe, I am coordinating a project. It's called Edu Chongwe. And the project is basically about empowering the youth, the women in that particular area. It's in an area called Shankalu Village. So it's about empowering the community members there so that they're able to gain education. So we're constructing a school that's primary, secondary, as well as a skills development center, so that we're able to assist people around that area, because those people have challenges attaining an education. They have to travel really long distances for them to get to the closest school, which is around Katola area. So because of the long distance, those children, the women, you'll find some of them don't even go to school because of the distance. You can imagine they have to travel 10 kilometers, so it's 20 Ks. 20 Ks.
Every day.
Exactly. So I saw the need that, these people would need a school around that area, and skills development as well. Yeah. So what we're also doing in that area is they have a challenge of having access to clean drinking water. So what we did is we've started constructing something, and we've sunk a borehole there so that they're able to at least access some clean drinking water. I mean, with all of this COVID going on and everything, everyone needs access to clean drinking water. Yes. So that, and we're also into skills development. So what we're doing is we've also constructed some, we've dug some fish ponds around the area, about 4 of them, so that the women around there can also venture into that, so that they're able to sustain their livelihoods as well. Yes. So that's basically what Edu Chongwe is about.
Awesome. And the Caris Foundation?
So due to the need of Edu Chongwe, what I saw was I needed to find a way to also channel some funds to help people that would want to be enrolled in school. There's people who would probably want to be enrolled in the school, but then they may not have the funds to go to school. You understand? So Caris Foundation is basically a financing scheme to help the very same children, not just in Chongwe. Well, Chongwe is just a starting point, but we'll roll it out nationwide. So what we're doing is it's a financing scheme that will be able to assist the very same women who would want to develop their skills. So we want to go into the communities and discover people's talents. You'll be surprised that there's so many people in these communities who have so many talents, but then they don't have way to take these talents. You understand? So skills development is what we're wanting to finance as well from the Caris Foundation.
Lovely.
Okay, so when it comes to Caris Foundation, I'm curious. You say it's a scheme of finance scheme.
Yeah.
How does it work? Where the finance is coming from? How do people how is it really working?
Okay. So with Caris, we are just getting started. Right now, we're using family resources.
Okay.
We are channeling into the foundation. And then I have businesses as well. I'm a florist as well. So I do flower businesses. I also do there's some wood maintenance business that I do. So those funds are the ones that we are channeling into the foundation, so that even the little that we can make, we're able to support even one child. You know, if it's 100 kwacha that will support this child, or if it's this amount that will support that person. So currently, that's how we are channeling our funds into
the foundation. Can people come through help? Is that also a way that they can come into Paris if people want to?
If people need help, yes, they can do something. But what currently we are just getting started, so we're still looking into the whole bigger picture. Because initially we want to first work on the school itself, get it running, and then we can now figure out those people that need the help that will actually fund.
Awesome, awesome. We go on a short, quick break. Still discussing education empowerment for the vulnerable with Grace Chundama. I'll be back shortly.
It is packaged to perfection, trending topics that we will be discussing to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the world of social media and, of course, our very own country.
Exactly. We don't just limit ourselves to the country, but we also move across the borders with the best in international news, policy making. We also bring experts to bring to you right information right here on The Breakfast Show.
And if you've got questions, we got you covered too. Like we said, we're on Facebook, so comment, leave your questions. We will be able to answer them. And if we can, trust me, we're going to get somebody that can.
Yeah, join us every day, Monday to Saturday.
It's Constance and Paul.
Oh, Paul and Constance.
No, definitely Constance and Paul.
Paul and Constance.
Definitely Constance.
Paul and Constance. 7 to 9. Still watching Millennium Culture, first and only business breakfast show. Still discussing education empowerment for the vulnerable, and we're talking to Grace Chundama, who is one of the pioneers of this project. I'll be very interested to know, because one of the things I know when you are working on a project, I've worked on various projects, is the issue of stakeholder engagement as well, and finance. That is one of the major areas that people, you might have the right intentions, the heart could be there, but the limitation is resources. How are you battling with that?
Okay. So I must say stakeholder engagement has been very good for us. We've engaged a lot of community members, community development officers around the area. We usually have meetings often, so they're actually looking forward to seeing this school actually operationalize finally, because it's taken quite some time. So in terms of finance, we're looking into partnering with different organizations, because it's not only Edu that's doing this. There's probably other organizations that are doing similar work. The FBZ has been doing similar work as well. So I'm looking into partnering with organizations such as FBZ, organizations, that are dealing with the very same arrangement, yes. But at the moment, it's all family resources that we've been putting into it, yes.
At what stage is the school now?
The stage of the school right now is we have one block of 4 classrooms.
Okay.
And then we also have a foundation level of the other classrooms that we're supposed to build. We've done the borehole, and also we've dug the fish ponds, 4 fish ponds.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
I noticed when you look at the pictures, you even have like MTN mobile money and all of that. Have a lot of people come through to actually like send money to fund Edu as well? And I would want you to even like state out the number in case somebody that's watching would want to be part of the project.
Okay, so I've had a few people, yes, that have approached me. I've had teachers approach me as well to ask, oh, okay, I've seen this thing, I'd like to be a part of it, I would like to contribute some books or something towards the same project. So I think the response has been quite good so far. And if they would like to, make contributions, the number that they would probably have to contribute to is 0965 260929. That's on MTN for the donations. Yeah.
I know Chongwe quite well, and one of the things that is predominant in that district is the issue of early marriages. Yes. Yeah. How you battle, because you have a good project, yes, good intentions, but again, some of the things that might fight the project is that girls are going into marriage early. How do you plan on?
So that's also one of the objectives of the project. You understand, is to have those young girls go to school. So it's because of also the long distances. You understand. It's contributing. It's contributing to them not going to school. So obviously their parents around, they will just say, no, but where are you going? Just stay home. That place is too far away. How are you going? You understand? So they would rather just let them stay home and do the housework at home and cook and everything, and then ultimately they will just marry them off. So it's because of that we brought in Edu Chongwe as well, because of the long distance. So at least if the school is around the area, they have that motivation to say, okay, it's just here, let me just go there and get educated.
Yeah. Apart from the distance, from your research in Chongwe, what is pushing these young girls into, apart from the school challenge, what is pushing early marriage? Because I know the rates, if you check the rates in Lusaka province, it's one of the highest in Chongwe district for early marriage statistics.
Well, maybe they're probably not, their parents as well are not sensitized on, gender issues. So perhaps their roles are defined by their families, you understand. It's starting from their parents, who probably see that girls should maybe, do particular work and not go to school. So another objective of our project is to create sensitization on gender awareness in the community. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. Now you've kept saying we, and like I've been trying to stay away from the question, but I'm just curious. Who's the we?
So I have a team that I'm working with. Obviously, there's family members that I'm working with, and so that's the we. But ultimately, I would say Edu Chongwe is like I've been working with family, but with the Caris, I founded it, and I'm still trying to
bring in other people as well.
Other people, bring in another team. Yes.
I know Grace as a career person. I know you an accomplished person in the career sectors, and now you have this other passion that you are fulfilling. Why can't you just concentrate on your career and just keep advancing your career?
No, I have a passion for the community. I have a passion. I want to see other people do well as well. So that's my passion. I want to see other people progress. I want to be of assistance to other women, other girls, other youth who would need that push to move further in life. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's a passion. It's not just because I just want to. I have a passion to do that.
Awesome. Before we let you go this morning, we're closing the show together with you today.
Okay.
For the sake of, we're still in Women's Month, right, Constance? We've been having various women on set here sharing with us some of the things they've used. Share with us briefly what you're doing professionally, and also what has helped you to reach thus far.
And with that in mind, tell us also a bit about your involvement with Yali.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So professionally, I am a monitoring and evaluation specialist. I am working for a project called the Climate Resilient Livestock Management Project. This is an African Development Bank funded project being implemented under fisheries and livestock. So I'm doing M&E for the project. And what has helped me get here? Well, I'd have to say God, first of all.
Yeah.
God, definitely God, because I wouldn't be here if not for him. And secondly, I would like to say determination. You understand? I think determination, you have to believe in yourself. Believing in yourself, you may not see things clearly, or you may not really understand how to go about certain things, but you just need to, just that extra push that you give yourself has probably gotten me to where I am right now.
And
the Yali, I'm currently enrolled in the Yali program, and yeah, it's a leadership training program for young leaders in Africa. So right now I'm enrolled in the program. I should be done with it in the next month or so. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Grace, for finding time to come through on Millennium Kwacha.
Thank you.
Out of the blues, I'm going to ask you this question as we close. The trending topic we've had is how much can you pay, the normal amount to pay a maid. What do you think?
The normal amount to pay a maid? I think the normal amount for rent around Lusaka is, 800, maybe a good 1,000. Yeah, maybe 1,000 to 1,500, it depends. I think that's...
Anything less than 1,000?
No, I don't think it's sufficient.
Okay. Okay, what are those coming for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those maids that come?
Those ones, I'm thinking maybe, perhaps if you pay them on an hourly wage or something, I don't know. Yeah.
Constance, your final verdict on this matter?
On this topic? I do agree with, like we said, and I think we did make not really make a conclusion, but yeah, like we said, if it's a full-time, this is a full-time person, it's a full-time worker, nothing below the minimum wage, which is like she said, 1,000, because this is a person this is your employee, and they're not doing anything else. But then when you come down to people to maids that will come Monday, Tuesday, it's not again, and if she just does that, then she also needs some education. If she just comes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday, she's just seated at home, it's like, really? You get my point? So I'm pretty sure she's also doing other things at that time. Yeah. And then most of the time, the people that even come Monday, they don't come the whole day. They'll usually come, do the work, and then they can leave. So even when she leaves, she should be doing something else as well. So then that comes down to how you people have sat down and discussed if it's whether it's going to be hourly, if it's going to be depending on what work she's done on that particular day. If you're giving her per week, that comes down to your discussion as the two of you, the boss and the employee, what she agrees to and what she doesn't agree to. But if it's a full-time employee, nothing less than the minimum wage. If you do that, stop it.
On that note, we close today's edition of Millennium Kwacha. We had so much fun. Just now we're discussing with Grace Chundama on education empowerment for the vulnerable. She's doing amazing works in Chong, where you do well to support her in the noble work. Congratulations, all the best in your project.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for coming through on Millennium Kwacha.
Thank you.
Awesome. We'll be back again tomorrow for another exciting edition. And tomorrow's edition is quite special because we have very interesting topics that we'll be discussing on the breakfast show from 7 to 9 on behalf of the entire production crew. And of course, my lady Constance Namwinga, and of course, Grace Chundama. Pushing on was my name. Back tomorrow at 7.
Millennium TV. Millennium TV. Women Business.